In this video, we're going to be taking another cheeky look at Cardano, and specifically the price action of ADA most recently. Guys, as we get into this video, if you do find it useful and informative, hit that like button. We both really do appreciate it. And of course, if you happen to be new to the channel and you'd like to stay up to date with the new cryptocurrencies, the hidden gems, the technical analysis and news, then do go ahead and subscribe. By subscribing, you'll be kept up to date with absolutely everything we do here. It is free. You'll stay well informed. So why not? And Chris, anything else you want to add before we jump on down and get into everything Cardano?
Yeah, so just a gentle reminder, obviously, we're validators for Cardano, so we do run the cheek pool. We have 1,250 delegators with over 15.5 million ADA delegated, so really appreciate every single one of you guys that have been delegating. But it's a fantastic way to make a passive income with returning just over 5.5% APY. And yeah, there's some juicy rewards to be had. It supports the project and the channel. So why not jump in the pool?
Fantastic. Right, guys, let's jump on down and start talking around what's been going on most recently with Cardano.
Let's do it.
Okay, guys, to start with, we're just here on the weekly chart for Cardano. This is the USDT, and we are using Binance as a data source here. And now, obviously, here, when we zoom right out, we can see a pretty bullish outlook on basically a most recent correction of wave 4. This is the kind of pain that a lot of people have been feeling right now, calling out a bear market because it's taken a lot of people by surprise. Ultimately, what you're actually seeing here is a correction in the same way that we saw a correction between the wave 1 and wave 2, except this time round it's been sharper and steeper, and this is just because wave 2 was flat, okay? And usually these two waves, number 2 and number 4, will contrast each other. If 2 was sharp and fast, you'd have a flat wave 4, but we had a flat wave 2, so we had a sharp wave 4, if that makes sense. So ultimately what you're seeing here was a correction for wave 4, and we like to think it's come in, but there's always the potential of falling a little bit lower, as typically wave 4 is about a 40% move of wave 3. So being the fact that wave 3 is a very large move in itself, taking it from the lows of wave 2 to the peak of wave 3, you normally have a 40% move for wave 4, and that 40% is usually whatever happened in wave 3. So there is always the possibility that you can drop down a little bit lower to that stereotypical 40% and maybe a little bit further beyond that. Okay, on average it's 40%, so obviously that does mean that sometimes things are lower than 40%, but it also does mean that sometimes some of those fourth waves are actually larger than 40%. Now there are of course some interesting lines that have been drawn on this chart, lots of different support levels. And one of the key things to remember here when it comes to Elliott theory is that wave 4 cannot cross wave 1, which means it cannot cross any lower than 16.1 cent here for ADA. Now, I do not believe it will ever go down as low as that, but I have seen some kind of interesting articles out there kind of circulating around calling ADA down to 55 cent, for example. And again, I can't see a 55 cent support line here, but again, I think it is something that we have to acknowledge is possible, although I do not think it's very likely at this point. So obviously we can see we'll be going into wave 5 shortly, and this is going to be pretty much led by however long it takes Bitcoin to do its kind of correction. We'll have a look at the Bitcoin chart to see where that one is up to and what patterns are forming there, because that will have a direct impact on Cardano here as well. But obviously moving into wave 5, this will come towards the end of the year in my opinion. We'll see Cardano peaking out with some pretty interesting numbers. We can see basically the upward level of $10 potentially being hit for Cardano. This will obviously include all that smart contract functionality rolling out. We would have had the toolkit for 𝗲𝗏, basically just issuing out so people can and developers can actually utilize the smart contract functionality very well. We'll see the prototype have been built for 𝗲𝗓𝗓, the scalability solution for Cardano. And so you'll start seeing a lot of this fantastic stuff actually happening and coming to the mainnet. And what you'll start to see is a price steadily increase, usually before the launch of all of these things. So as we are entering into July shortly, July is the month where the final stages of basically the Alonzo hard fork combinator will be put to bed on the testnet, and then we'll see that being ushered onto the mainnet at the end of July, beginning of August. And this is going to be the main smart contract functionality. Alongside that, shortly after, no doubt, we'll have the 𝗲𝗏, which will be the toolkit for the developers to actually utilize the smart contracts. Then you'll start seeing a flurry of developments and dApps launching on Cardano's ecosystem. You'll see a lot of projects porting over from the Ethereum network over to the Cardano network, and this is where you'll see the catalyst that pushes the price of Cardano's ADA up towards that peak of wave 5 towards the end of the year. Now, a lot of that stuff is outside of the technicals here. That's very fundamental, and ultimately it does not really it's not represented inside this data. And as a result of that, there is the possibility that actually you'll start spiking significantly higher than some of these numbers that we're showing here today. It could be a $15 or $20 ADA by the peak of the bull run. So we'll have to see how things do develop and continue, but right now the technical data is suggesting that we should be somewhere between $7.20 and $10 by the peak of the bull run. This is just based on how Cardano ADA has currently been performing, and again we'll see different technicals start appearing as some of that functionality starts to roll out onto the mainnet, and again we'll start seeing a different kind of price predictions come to fruition as we move closer towards the end of the year, close 2021, move into 2022. Now, obviously, this is just a weekly view, and it's important to understand where things are going longer term. But of course, we're all feeling a bit of pain at the moment. If we do jump down into our daily chart here and expand this up a little bit, we can see that Cardano yesterday was actually run down towards a dollar level. Okay, so this is a support level that actually went back a little way. We found resistance in this area over here in February. We found it as support in late February, and in March was also a support line. We wicked down here a couple of times, and this is another test of this area where we got the bounce. But obviously it doesn't just happen on its own. Instead, ultimately Cardano here is actually following that of Bitcoin. And if we take a look at Bitcoin's chart, well, actually what you start seeing is a Wyckoff accumulation starting to form here. And again, this is actually forming for quite some time, but I'm starting to think that actually after yesterday's pullback into the phase B section of that secondary test, we could start to see Cardano, or at least Bitcoin here, following this particular pattern, which will have a direct impact on Cardano's ADA. So again, where we're having a bit of a green day today, the expectations are that we're actually going to have a pullback now and reach this target, and it's going to be a short-term pullback, not too much, before actually going up and heading towards the $40,000 area for Bitcoin here. So again, if we are following this pattern, then we'll have a short-term pullback in the next day or two, and then that will be followed up by a several-day move to about 40K for Bitcoin. And again, when we take a look at that and we understand what's going on here with Bitcoin, and we can apply that understanding to our Cardano daily chart, then we'll be expecting a pullback, and we'll be expecting it then to move up to about that $1.50 area for Cardano's ADA once again. Again, there's going to be a lot of resistance around the $1.44, $1.48, around that area. There's lots of consolidation, lots of resistance going to be met there. And again, we'll have another pullback at that point as well. So again, if Bitcoin does follow this pattern, you can start to expect that Cardano will also follow a very similar pattern as well, as it will be following Bitcoin's trading habits. Now, obviously on this daily chart, you can obviously see where that resistance is. As I just said, it's about $1.44, $1.48, $1.50. These are the areas that we've been heavily concentrating around, and it's going to be the area that we're going to find a bit of a barrier. Now, when we take a look at Cardano here, we can see that we're really low on our relative strength index. And again, this is at about 40, which means the pullback is going to be very short-lived. And this is in line with that Wyckoff accumulation period. Okay, so I expect a pullback. It will be a very short-lived pullback. And then obviously it will be a fantastic push to the upside. And it will be a significant push to the upside, utilizing that relative strength index to its potential. Now, with that, we'll have to take a look at the hourly chart to understand exactly what is likely to go on here. So when we take a look at this hourly chart, we can obviously see the pull down that we had to the low area of $1. And then obviously we can see the push back to the upside most recently. Now, what's really interesting about this move is obviously that we are expecting another pullback. And for Cardano's ADA here, it's most likely going to form in this area. Let me just grab my horizontal ray and we'll just throw this on approximately around here. So it's going to be about $1.12 in that area approximately. in my opinion. Ultimately, we've utilized that relative strength index in order to push the price up here the way that we have. Now, with this being done, we'll find that resistance and we'll start pulling back down within the next kind of day, I would have thought. And this will then take the relative strength index towards the oversold area again, but it'll only take us down to about this support level here before we get that reversal pushing the price up much higher. And again, this would be following the Wyckoff accumulation pattern. So again, following Bitcoin in this scenario. So again, right now, a pullback is kind of going to be due because we are high on that relative strength index, and the pullback should be short-lived because we haven't got too far to fall. When we take a look at that daily chart here, we are already really low on that relative strength index. So again, this is in line with our expectations when we take a look at that Wyckoff accumulation period. And what we are expecting here for Bitcoin is a short-term pullback after this run from the low secondary test area, a short-term pullback before pushing on much higher. Again, another pullback before pushing a little bit higher. And then we go back into that fear kind of area again, pulling the price back down for Bitcoin to 30K, which again would have an impact on Cardano's ADA, pushing it up a little bit. So we'll have a pullback pushing up towards $1.44, then a pullback maybe up to $1.50, then a pullback all the way down and potentially towards our original test down here, which should be coming in the next little while of about $1.12. So again, you're going to be quite fearful. There's going to be euphoria. It's over, the correction's over, we're pushing higher, we're setting higher highs, and then all of a sudden it's going to be the rug will be pulled from you and you'll be pulled right the way back down towards $1.12. And again, this is the part of the accumulation period of the Wyckoff pattern designed to create fear and to maximize the accumulation possibilities for institutions. This is normally something that an institution or several institutions do. They follow this pattern to basically allow them to accumulate a large amount of a particular cryptocurrency over a period of time without driving the price up too high. They deliberately keep the price low. So they let the price push up a little bit and then they pull the price back down. You'll use lots of media outlets to spread FUD, fake news, misinformation, anything that could potentially be used to push the price down a little bit lower back into their buy zones where they accumulate more. And ADA will be following a very similar pattern because it will be following Bitcoin. So again, it's important that we use our heads here, we work smart and we understand what patterns are forming, how we can utilize them to our advantage, and know that actually at the end of this kind of 4 to 6 week period of accumulation, which is the average for a Wyckoff accumulation period, although sometimes it can last months, most likely scenarios it will only last a few weeks. And after that, you'll be then pushing up back into those high levels again. And usually from a Wyckoff accumulation, you'll be entering into sort of something like a Wyckoff distribution. And again, we've experienced what that looks like for Bitcoin. So again, we're still expecting some interesting numbers to be achieved there. And obviously that has a direct impact on Cardano's ADA. When Cardano will follow the accumulation pattern, chances are it will go up and spike up with Bitcoin and potentially go and follow Bitcoin's price action in the distribution phase. And then after that distribution phase for Bitcoin, guys, that's where I believe the altcoins will go parabolic and go up and do some crazy numbers, decoupling from Bitcoin altogether. And that should hopefully be towards the end of the year, beginning of 2022. So again, for Cardano's ADA here, we have to kind of have diamond hands, as they say, hold on tight, hodl, and dollar cost average better positions where you can, if that's what you intend to do. There's going to be some fantastic opportunities if we are actually following a Wyckoff accumulation pattern, and ultimately we'll be able to use that knowledge to our advantage to get better positions, or if you're a day trader, trade those positions as well. Now, I'm not a financial advisor, Chris is not a financial advisor, but as an analyst and someone who deals with data on a day-by-day basis, this is what I'm seeing within the information that I have readily available to me, and things are looking like a Wyckoff accumulation at the moment. And ultimately, we'll be able to use that to our advantage for both Cardano's ADA and Bitcoin and many of these other altcoins in the space. Now, Chris, is there anything else that you feel that's probably worth bringing up here for Cardano's ADA?
Just, we've had people when it's that the prices have been, relatively high, say they wish it was lower. You've got your opportunity. It amazes me how many people say this and then complain when the prices do fall. This is an opportunity, in my opinion, to accumulate. You can see that that's what the whales are doing. But at the end of the day, it's your decision. But Nick and myself, we've been investing in some of these dips.
Absolutely. So guys, hopefully you found this useful and informative, maybe even reassuring at times. If you have, hit that like button. We both really appreciate it. And of course, if you're new to the channel and you would like to stay up to date with the new cryptocurrencies, the hidden gems, the technical analysis and news, then do go ahead and subscribe. By subscribing, you'll be kept up to date with absolutely everything we do here. It is free. You'll stay well informed. So why not? With that said, done and out of the way, guys, we hope you have a fantastic day and we'll catch you in the next one.
Yeah, take care.